Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trail Pass. Now, one of the main selling points here with getting an XT model of the Can-Am Outlander is you do get some aluminum wheels and an upgraded set of, in this case, Maxxis tires. But ever since I got these home, something kind of stuck out to me, and I was looking at Facebook Marketplace the other day and found just the solution to further upgrade my four-wheeler. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace a lot more than I care to admit, but when these Can-Am wheels with Carlisle tires popped up the other day, I thought I'd go ahead and grab them. So I did get them for around $300, and these particular wheels and tires came off of an older Outlander, actually an 800, and but they look to be in really, really good shape. Now, they are a Carlisle tire and they are a directional tire. Normally, I do try to run non-directional tires. They seem to fit my needs a little bit better, but for the price and for the look, I think it looks really, really nice. In terms of a 570, you'll also find these exact wheels on the XMR models, and I think they look really, really nice. Again, against this silver paint, I think everything looks really good. Now, the reason I wanted the new wheels and tires so bad is because I did want a little bit larger setup. I was fine with the 12-inch wheels, but I wanted to go with more like a 26 or a 27-inch tall tire. With the longer chassis of the Max model, it does have a little bit worse breakover angle, and I really just wanted to see what a little bit larger tires would do. I didn't want to bog down the engine. I didn't want to run 30s. Again, guys, I'm not a mud rider. Most of my riding is done on just normal trails, and I thought 26s would be great. So when these popped up, I thought I would go ahead and snap them up. Now, the big story here is these are 26s. The original wheels and tires were 25s. But when you get them beside each other, and these are front to front, same air pressure, that's a lot more than 1 inch. So let's talk about that for a second. So when you actually pull a tape to these tires, these Carlisle tires do measure very, very close to 26 inches. However, when you get over close to the Maxxis tires, you actually notice that they measure a little bit smaller than 25, actually closer to 24 and a half or even 24 once you get them on the vehicle. Now, I realize this happens a lot when you run lower air pressure. Obviously, when you run low air pressure, you get your tire on the machine, it does have a little bit of sidewall bulge, and you lose some height in your overall tire. But as you'll notice, these Carlisle tires are still on the machine compared to the Maxxis tires, and they actually are both running the same exact amount of air pressure, 8 psi, which I find is a good amount for just my normal trail riding. So by going up 1 inch of tire, I actually gained almost an inch of ground clearance, which is really hard to believe. So before I swapped these new Maxxis tires off my machine and put on my new used Carlisle tires that I found on Marketplace, I did take several measurements around the machine. Now, again, I understand that the tire will bulge a little bit once it has the weight of the machine sitting on it. But I measured with the Maxxis tires on, I measured with the Carlisle tires on, so you have a true apples to apples comparison. Both of these wheels are 12-inch wheels, and the only difference is the overall height of the tire from the factory. Again, 25s versus 26s. And actually, they're the same width as well. 8 inches wide on the front, 10 inches wide on the rear. But on the machine, the Maxxis tires measure 23 and 3/4 inches on the front and 23 and a half on the rear, while the Carlisles measured 25 and a half on the front and 25 and 3/4 on the rear. So we're gaining almost 2 inches in overall tire size once it's on the machine. Now, what that equates to in overall ground clearance, I measured in 3 separate places. I measured underneath the front snowplow plate, which is directly underneath the rear diff. I measured the center of the footwell, and I measured underneath the rear diff. So what that means is 3 different spots of ground clearance. So there's, truly an apples to apples comparison. So what I gained at the plow plate with the Maxxis tires, I had 9 inches of ground clearance. With the Carlisle tires, I had 10 inches of ground clearance. So a full inch of ground clearance in the front. To the rear diff, it went from 10 and a half inches to 12 and a half inches, actually, which I was really, really shocked with, which is 2 inches of increase, which is just absolutely incredible. I'm not really sure why that happened, but that is what I got. And then to the middle of the footwell here, I went from 11 and 3/4 inches to 13 and 1/4 inches. So an inch and a half of extended ground clearance here. So again, guys, by going from a 25-inch tall tire to a 26-inch tall tire, you actually gain over an inch of ground clearance in a lot of these situations. And that's because the Maxxis tire that came on my Can-Am from the factory is not truly a 25-inch tall tire. It measured a lot closer to 23.5 inches, actually less than 24 inches, no matter how you measure it, whether it's off the machine or on the machine. And it's supposed to be a 25. Now, the Carlisle tire says it's a 26, and it measures very, very close to 26 inches, a little bit less because of the air pressure, but not near as inaccurate as these Maxxis tires were. And you can really see there on the rear when you roll them both up next to each other. Again, guys, 1 inch of tire, and in reality, it looks like more like 2 or 3 inches of tire, which is just absolutely incredible. And it really shocked me. I was expecting these 26-inch tall Carlisles to be closer to 25 inches tall. But when I got them both home and rolled them up beside each other and saw the difference, I was just absolutely shocked. Now, why this happens could be a couple different factors. It could just be that these are Maxxis tires and the ones I just purchased were Carlisle tires. But it also could be that these Maxxis tires were bought by Can-Am to put on this model from the factory. And what I mean by that is they might be trying to downplay it a little bit to make the machine seem maybe more powerful. You know, if you put a larger tire on there, maybe the throttle response or the torque wouldn't feel as great. But with these smaller tires, it really feels extra peppy. And then maybe it's because a lot of people want to get a more aggressive tire before they even leave the factory or leave the dealership rather. So maybe they want that Max XT, but they know that they want a much larger tire. And when the dealer rolls out a 27-inch tall tire beside these stock 25s, you know, it's going to look huge. It's going to maybe push people towards that upsale before they even leave the dealership. So I'd love to hear what you all think about this, but really, I was just absolutely shocked. These, I don't believe, were the original tires that went on those wheels. I believe they were replaced because they do appear to be in pretty good shape. But they're definitely more worn than these Maxxis tires. You know, these had less than 100 miles on them when I took them off. And for as small as what they truly measured, again, I was really, really surprised. So I'd be curious, go down in your shop, your garage, your basement, wherever you keep your machine, measure your tires. Is it truly measuring a 25 or is it measuring a lot smaller like it was in my situation? Also, if you have aftermarket tires, I actually measured the set on my orange 450 Can-Am, and the 25s that I have on there, the Sun F Amazon special tires, do measure really, really close to 25s, even on the machine and even well worn after, you know, more than 300, 400 miles, whatever's on that machine. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you all very much for joining me on this episode. I was really, really blown away when I saw this, and yeah, love to know your all's thoughts. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll catch you next time.